last two lessons, we covered the A minor scale from the 1st fret all the way to the 9th fret. In other words, I covered the fingering of the A minor scale all the way through to here. So now we've got, to span the full octave, I wanted to complete showing you the fingering of the A minor or the C major scale, either way you want to look at it, from the 9th fret here all the way to the 12th fret. From the 12th fret onward, it's just a repeat of whatever you see here because the 12th fret is considered the octave. In other words, any note that you play here, you play the same note on the 12th fret. It's just an octave higher. Okay? So let me show you the fingering of the A minor or C major scale from the 9th fret to the 12th fret. Here we go. Okay, let's do that again. Okay, and you can follow that fingering in the chart that I just showed you. All right, so now that I've showed you the fingering of that scale, basically we've spanned the entire, if you go back to the last two lessons, I've shown you the fingering all the way across to the 12th fret of the A minor or the C major scale. So what we can do now is I'll have you improvise a solo, just like I did in the last two lessons, over an A minor pattern. But what I also want to add is show you a few tricks to make your soloing a little more interesting. Okay? So one popular trick that we commonly do in guitar playing is a slide. And a slide is pretty much just a matter of fingering a note and then just sliding up to another note. So for example, we know that in the C major scale we have the note C here and we have the note E here. We can slide up to an E. And another thing I wanted to show you is a thing called a hammer. So a hammer is where you just play a note without actually picking it. So you'll pick a note and then you'll just hammer down on a note without picking that note. So we know that in the C major scale we have the note, the E here, and then we have G here. So we can hammer from an E to a G. Okay. So we could do something like, right? So that's called a hammer. Now, a thing that often accompanies a hammer is a thing called a pull-off. So this is a pull-off. It's where you'll pluck a note and then you'll pull off. You'll sort of pluck the note also with your finger. So in other words, you could go. So when I pulled off, I didn't actually pluck that note when I pulled off. All right. So doing a combination of a hammer and a pull-off, you can get a real good legato effect. Legato is when you're playing notes in sequence quickly without necessarily plucking every one. So practice a lot of those hammer downs and pull-offs, and I'm going to give you a backing track to play to, and I'll solo a little bit using those techniques that I just showed you, and then you're on your own. All right.